Welcome to this episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Odd. We're your hosts, Mark and Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
So we're back into Hammer territory with this. The next one, chronologically, we're going to be covering, and we're not doing every Hammer film, by the way. We are doing, like, the horror bits.
Yeah, we're
Hammer
specifically doing Hammer horror.
Hammer horror. This is horror adjacent at best, really, this one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this wasn't scary. It was a bit more of a, it's more in the line of a political thriller.
It was. So, but the thing is, you've got Chris Lee, so that kind of is enough to push it over the edge, right? Yeah. Rasputin the Mad Monk, made in 1966. This one's directed by Don Sharp, so not the usual Terence Fisher. But it has got Christopher Lee. The music is also not James Bernard, who we usually have. The music was Don Banks, but it sounded like James Bernard's music, so that was fine. So here we have Christopher Lee as Grigory Rasputin, the guy with the song, right?
Yeah,
it's that guy. And the way he acted in this was kind of like the song too. So Rasputin's famously had like a hypnotic power over people, particularly women, and he got into the household of the Tsars. He was kind of associated with. I think the peasants and the uprising kind of associated him with the decadence of the Tsars, though he was his own standalone character person too. So he was, I believe he was a monk, and they got kicked out. That's how it's certainly presented in the film. And he kind of wandered around. He was famous for the mad hair and beard and the weird piercing eyes. Christopher Lee is, he's big, imposing.
Yeah, especially because it feels like he's 9 feet tall in comparison to everyone else.
Yeah, he's got the big hair as well, and boots with heels. And I found his use of his hands were really interesting. He was constantly holding them up in like weird twisting angles.
Yeah.
Now, this also featured Barbara Shelley, Francis Matthews, and a few other actors. Now, we already saw these actors with Christopher Lee in another film, which was Dracula Prince of Darkness. And this was made back to back and used some of the same sets. And in fact, appeared to use some of the same day for night shooting techniques too, which were not great, were they? They were not great. And apparently most of this was fictionalized, but some of the events in it are based on first-hand accounts of Rasputin, leading up to his death, certainly, and like how people thought of him. This was all right.
Okay, I will say I wasn't much a fan of this film, but the first 10 minutes or so was probably the best establishing character stuff. For quite a while.
I feel this is a bathtub kind of film, and I think it really kicked ass in the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes. Actually, that's where it kicked ass.
Because let's be frank, the first 10 minutes is this is Rasputin. The last 10 minutes is the assassination attempt.
Yeah, and Rasputin vigorously not dying, basically.
They poison him, and he just sort of gets back up after a while. They stab him, and that's not enough. They chuck him out a window.
Yeah, they do all sorts. And apparently that's true. They tried to poison him. It didn't work. They had to shoot him.
See, I've heard that that's like a very dramatized thing from the memoirs of the assassins. They just shot him 3 times and chucked him in the river.
Oh, so they didn't try and poison. Because I also heard, what I heard was Rasputin famously used to take a little bit of poison every day, which kind of meant he was immune to poison, the strychnine or whatever it was, the common poison of the day. So, there's also Rasputin's still a figure that people kind of find interesting. And you kind of see him in versions of him in films. There's a nuts film called Horror Express with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, where there's a monk in it who kind of gets possessed by this alien entity who's very Rasputin-like when it gets to that point. So they were kind of riffing. That's a mad Italian horror film. So, those Italian ones are nuts. I really liked the first 10 minutes, as you did, right? Where essentially a man's dying. A woman is dying. The landlord of a pub's wife is dying. And the doctor says, I can't do it. What happens if her temperature don't go down? Oh, you need... Yeah,
there's this really callous doctor that's like if her temperature improves, just call call me again. What if it doesn't improve? Well, call a priest. Like,
yeah, wow. So a bit callous, but while they're upstairs, the old Rasputin bursts in and sort of wants a drink, and they mention, "Oh, have some respect in this house. There is sickness in the house," and he just bursts. He just goes upstairs, strides in.
Like, oh, she's ill, is she? Okay, I'll do this thing. He puts his hands on her forehead.
Yeah.
And, after a while, pulls them away and goes like, "Okay, so I've drained the fever out. They're in my hands. I'm just gonna."
And he says, "Feel them," and they're red hot, right? Yeah. They're red hot. And the woman does get better, so it's like, wow.
Yeah, she heals.
So the landlord says, "Oh, I'll give you a bottle of wine. 2." He goes, "No." He says, "What can I give you?" And he says, "A bottle of wine." He says, 2 bottles. And
he goes, "That's not enough." And Rasputin's sort of like, 2 bottles, I guess, and just like,
yeah, it's really not bothered.
The guy keeps insisting that he needs more payment, but Rasputin's just kind of trying to get on.
He just wants a drink. Yeah. He just wants a drink. He's got a thirst.
Like, okay,
right?
I guess get your daughter in her finest dress. We'll have a party, and then the entire village is like going through some revelry.
Yeah, and the Cossack, they're doing the old Cossack Russian dancing, and meanwhile, he's kind of talking to the landlord's daughter, but the landlord's not bothered. He's pretty happy because his wife's got better. But then her boyfriend, the daughter's boyfriend, turns up and sees this mad monk dancing with his girlfriend. And at one point,
landlord doesn't help.
he says at one point,
"Oh, careful, you're going to lose her if you don't."
You're going to lose her, like joking. Meanwhile, Rasputin goes out in the barn with her, and he's like, they're kissing and all that. Boyfriend comes in and starts attacking him. Rasputin does not care, right? He has a good old go.
He just chops this guy's hand off with a scythe.
He chops his hand off.
It's either a scythe or like some sort of wood standing thing. You know what I mean? Like a big wood saw.
Yeah. It's a big, almost like a shear kind of thing. I think it's for cutting corn. I don't really know, chopping corn or something. But anyway, he grabs the daughter. Now she's kind of horrified because her boyfriend's hands just got cut off.
Yeah.
But he grabs her and starts ravishing her again. But then the village burst in with all their pitchforks, and he doesn't care. He starts fighting with her.
Oh, he starts fighting with them, breaks a hole in the roof, and rides off into the night.
It just clears off.
Okay. And then after that, it becomes really boring for most of the film, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I do like the bit with the bishop. The bishop says, "Have you done this immorality? Have you been drinking and been with women?" And he says, "Well, we have to come closer to God by confessing, and I want to have some really juicy sins to confess."
It's like I'm not going to talk about minor jealousies. I'm going to talk about sins. I can't talk about sins unless I've done the sins. So.
And he doesn't care. And in fact, apparently Rasputin was rumoured to be somehow connected to a quite weird Christian sect in Russia that believed that fornication and confession was the way to get closer to God. So I think that was a hint towards that kind of thing. Anyway, the bishop's disgusted and kind of chucks him out. So next thing we see Rasputin on the road with a bloke he keeps calling Little Father, who starts telling him, "Oh, a man like you should go to Moscow. I went there once, I lost all my money and all this." Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this, and I don't know if you are familiar with his voice enough, but the old bloke driving, his voice was basically Michael Ripper's voice.
Okay.
But Michael Ripper wasn't in it, but it sounded just like I'm pretty sure they got Michael Ripper to dub it. Given also Michael Ripper was in Dracula Prince of Darkness, I think they got him. This bloke didn't give good deliveries, so they got Michael Ripper to overdub him. Yeah. It sounded like that. And he's telling him, and suddenly Rasputin takes the reins and starts whipping the horses. Says, "You're going to Moscow, Little Father?"
They run off to Moscow.
He's a proper pig, this man. He just does what he wants, right? He just does what he wants. And then he goes to St. Petersburg, what happens? He goes to a bar, but meanwhile we see this kind of these couples in the bar, right? Dinsdale Landon is one of them, and Francis Matthews is the other man, and then Barbara Shelley is one of the women, and there's another blonde lady who's another woman, and they're having a
drink with boyfriends and family. Sort of thing.
And Barbara Shelley's character asks for a vodka, right? Yeah. Meanwhile, Rasputin's getting tanked up, getting pissed up again.
Yeah, he's kind of he's kind of hustling his way through getting
he's
doing
challenging
people to drinking competitions.
Yeah,
and like betting like small amounts, and they put in like loads of money, and he wins, of course.
Yeah.
So he just goes on and does it again.
And
he's doing it in the same bar.
But he's doing it back to back. He's like having drinking contests back to back with different. So he's just drinking. But then he has a dance. But meanwhile, the lady has a drink of vodka and kind of chokes, and everyone starts laughing. But as he finishes his dance, they're still laughing. So he thinks they're laughing at him. Goes over and he says to the woman, "You will apologise to me." Yeah. And she's like, So basically, he says, "You will come to me and apologise," and she does. And like, later, as soon as she turns up, he's in bed with her and all this.
Yeah, right? It's like literally, he tells this guy that he's bunking with, Dr. Boris.
Yeah.
Well, what else do you call like a Russian guy, Dr. Boris?
Yeah.
He's like, "Boris, go out and get some food." "What? But I live here." "Boris, go out and get some food."
So he's just a total alpha male, isn't he? He's just telling people what to do and they do it. She turns up and then he's like, "Oh, you are a lady in waiting to the Tsarina, and the young prince is in your care. You got to look after him." And then he hypnotizes her and says, "You will make him have an accident and you will tell the Tsarina that I can cure him," and all this. And he places. So he does the old thing with the hands and the eyes, which is fine, but it's a bit boring, isn't it? It's a bit boring.
It's basically, this film basically devolves down to Rasputin finds a woman that's a bit above the social ladder than him. He hypnotizes her to get to another woman who's above the social ladder on him.
And so on, and so on.
Keeps going. So.
And he's got this Dr. Boris mate who he has been struck off, but basically the young prince gets injured because so and so.
She pushes
him off a thing.
Into a frozen river.
And he gets recovered, and then the blonde woman who also hates Rasputin, it has to be said. That's just a note because that comes into the story a bit later. So she mentions to the Tsarina she knows this healing man, and Rasputin turns up, heals him, or does his business, and tells her that she should get rid of his doctor, because the actual real doctor looking after everything is also a bit callous as well, it seems like, and says, "I'll be back," and then gets his struck off friend on the hooks, right? Now, in real life,
this is one of his this guy's like, "Dude, don't do this. This isn't good. This is all going to fall apart. You really shouldn't just be putting me in this as well."
Yeah, but
and he gets like a big house from the Tsarina, and
it does that. Now, I don't know how much of this is true, but I also heard Rasputin did turn up with the Tsarina and claimed to be curing her son, who was a haemophiliac. That runs in the royal bloodlines of Europe, haemophilia. And apparently, whenever he did his thing, the lad got better. So they thought he was really doing it, whatever he was doing, right? I don't know what he was doing.
Like beef or something. Get the red blood up.
I don't know, but that's how he got such a strong heart in the household, because he appeared to be helpful to the young prince, right? So Sonia, then he's in there, so he doesn't really want to talk to Sonia anymore, and she says,
she comes to him, and he basically hypnotizes her again and tells her to destroy herself,
which she does off camera. But apparently there was a scene written where she does kill herself, but they didn't put it in. So once her brother finds Sonia's dead, they kind of like, we got to get rid of this Rasputin dude. So they start making plans of how to get rid of him. And first, the other fella, who is the brother of the blonde lady, goes to Rasputin and says, "My sister." No, it wasn't the other. Oh, well, one of them goes to Rasputin.
Another guy, like, is part of this.
And says, "She protests too much, and because he's got a massive ego, he totally." Rasputin, okay, of course she does, but you got to meet her in rooms, but we got to be discreet. Meanwhile, in the rooms, they inject poison into the wine and chocolate, something, and then leave him there and say she'll be here shortly, and just leave him to it. Rasputin this is getting right at the end. So
this is literally
there isn't much more to tell about the rest.
Yeah, we skipped over an hour of film.
It takes a while to develop. It looks all right. All right.
I do like that
but it's a bit dull.
They Russianed up the sets by just occasionally having red Cyrillic scripts just on the wall.
I have to say, I was impressed by Rasputin's red shirt.
That was huge.
That was amazing, like a velvet shirt. Anyway, Rasputin turns up, starts stuffing his face and drinking and all that while he's waiting. And then he kind of, kills over.
He drops, quote unquote, dead.
Oh, I should say another bloke attacks him because what happened to Sonia, and he throws acid in his face.
Yeah, he gets acid shot.
He just throws acid in his face. Rasputin throws acid in his face, so he crawls off. We don't know what happens to him until one of the blokes finds this bloke with a burnt face.
Yeah.
So did Rasputin do this? Meanwhile, Rasputin, they think he's dead, but when they go in, he actually gets up and starts attacking them because he's Rasputin.
Quite a scuffle. And they end up stabbing him in the back, and he drops for a bit. And it's like, okay. And then he gets back up, and they have to chuck him out a window.
They throw him out a window, and he finally dies. And he's just lying there. Now, I thought they'd shot him. I remember him being shot from this, but they don't, right? So
they did in real life.
So, and Boris's mate Boris is one of the conspirators, right? Because he's worried about what he's doing.
Yeah, basically, Boris gets a bit of he grows a morality in this bit. He gets conscious, and so he's like, this is bad, I'm gonna leave. And it's got like Rasputin screaming like, you'll be back, ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
proper menacing laughter.
Lee actually said, and Lee often says things like this, but Lee actually said about the part later, he thinks Rasputin was one of the best things he's done. And I have to say, he's pretty good in this. He is pretty good.
Lee is like the pinnacle of like taking the bad film seriously. He loves these sort of roles where he can just like be the main character no matter what, even if he's like a bit part sort of thing.
And get this, the director in 1992 said about this, I think it's the best thing Chris Lee's ever done. Rasputin was supposed to have this ability to hypnotize people, and Chris practically developed that ability.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I can believe that. Yeah, just do what Chris Lee tells you, all right? That's fine. And apparently they had other scenes that were going to be filmed and they had to cut because the budget was cut during filming. So it became quite wordy, and I think that caused problems. And apparently they did have him laying on the ice much more like he was taking benediction with his hand on his forehead, but they felt that might be sacrilegious. So they took that shot out and made him lay in a different pose, which is still a bit Christ-like, frankly.
Yeah.
It's still a bit Christ-like. There was meant to be a much bigger fight at the end, but the director had to leave early on filming, so they only filmed a part of what they intended, and that's what was in the film. So, and apparently Chris Lee actually met the man who killed Rasputin as well. And later on, he met Rasputin's daughter. Rasputin had a daughter.
Yeah, Rasputin. I don't doubt Rasputin had a lot of kids.
And it made its money back. I'm not sure I haven't looked at the I'll have a look at IMDb and see what the score is on that. But yeah, it wasn't great. It was okay. It wasn't as boring as some of the ones we've watched.
I would say it had a really strong start and a pretty strong end, but it was just really boring throughout the rest of it.
Yeah, I really like the start. Made you think, "Whoa, this is going to be something," right? But Rasputin was a badass, really, all the way through it, but it just wasn't very pacey, which I think diminished it somewhat. I mean, imagine if it hadn't been Chris Lee doing this, it wouldn't have been a great film at all. I just can't feel that. I feel like he made it work, the bits that did work, personally. It's kind of hard to imagine. I guess any rather tall, charismatic actor would have been okay, but I don't know. I don't know. IMDb's not playing right, so I can't put that up. But I imagine I've got a fair idea it's going to be something like a 6 out of 10 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a 6.3
Oh, 6.3. There you go. Yeah. So I mean, this is going to be a shorter episode than we usually do because there isn't that much to say about it. It's not top tier Hammer by any means. No. Would you say it's one of the worst you've seen, or a bit higher?
See, the thing is, it's not awful because Christopher Lee's like basically owning every single scene that he's in.
Yeah.
It's just story-wise, nothing is happening throughout all of these scenes. We're not like establishing character. We're not establishing anything. It's literally just a statement of, and then you may as well replace it with, and then Rasputin screwed his way up the social circle.
Yeah, and I feel like the only character that had any development was Sonia, the woman Sonia, because she changed from being virtuous and upright to this like mad woman who was obsessed with Rasputin and was doing everything she was told. She was the only one who had any kind of character change. Even the blokes who decided to kill him, it was like, oh yeah, we don't like this guy, let's kill him. It's like, this feels a bit weird. And they did go on about it was for the good of Russia, but was it? It wasn't really. It's because you didn't like him, right? It was. Yeah. It was. I think killing Sonia was probably the turning point there, right? Throwing acid in the bloke's face, but that was already the plot had already hatched and was well underway when they found that out. So it was all about Sonia really. Though that wasn't particularly highlighted in the script, I don't think it was like, why are they doing this? It was a bit like that, but yeah, it was reasonably well acted. It was the direction was okay. It wasn't Terence Fisher good, I don't think, but it was okay, and the sets were all right, and it was kind of colourful. But wasn't top.
Fun little film, good to box ticket as like having watched it, but I'm not going to be watching it again.
No, and like I said, I think I said to you, I don't remember it, but I don't remember I watched it, and I have watched it in fact. But I do remember the end was pretty dramatic. But weirdly, I said to you off air when I went to put it on Letterboxd. I found I'd watched it literally same day in 2013, but hadn't written a review, just written, that I'd watched it, just made a note I'd watched it. So weirdly, it was on the same day, but 9 years later. That's a bit odd, right? That's a bit odd. But yeah. All right then. So next time we come to Hammer, I think we'll be covering The Reptile, which was made about the same time as this. Certainly released about the same time. That is definitely horror. That is definitely a horror film. So looking forward to that too. All right then. So let's hold on, we didn't score. I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
Maybe 6.5. It's closer to the middle than it is to either end, but it's like in the good side. So.
Yeah. Chris Lee made it, so right. I think Barbara Shelley was pretty good too, but she got cut short really. All right then, let's wind up there. So bye from me.
Bye.